This is Our Rough Draft, a podcast, real talk for real relationships.
Welcome to Our Rough Draft, where we share real stories from marriage, work, life, and the adventures along the way. We'll laugh, maybe get real, and hopefully help you spark some new conversations in your own life.
I'm Denise, the wild, emotional one who loves words and big ideas.
And I'm Tim. I'm the practical level one who fixes what she dreams of.
And this is Our Rough Draft, where we share the stories we're still living.
Welcome to Our Rough Draft.
It is so nice to see you on a Friday night.
It's great to see you too.
We've
Anyway.
been together all day.
Yeah.
That's what Fridays are.
Yeah.
Awesome. Here we are in the living room once again.
Yep.
Doing a little podcast. Great day today. Artemis landed in the ocean outside of San Diego.
That was, not going to lie, a little nerve-wracking. Those of you who are Gen X know the struggle, know the trauma that we've lived through with Challenger disaster. And man, I was so happy to see him touch down. Like I was literally on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, it was really fun to see that. And it was a great mission and a great bunch of accomplishments. So yeah. It was fun to see.
Yeah, really cool.
Awesome. Okay, well, we said that we would do a little moment of gratitude as part of the pod starting this week. So do you have a moment where you felt grateful this week?
You always ask me to go first. I think you should go first.
Okay. It was not my favorite week. We had a little bit of a meltdown as a family this week, which we can talk about or not talk about. But my gratitude is around the recovery. So, in relationship, when you take time to fix something, it's often called repair. I feel like oftentimes when you do that directly, it can feel a little bit hard, but I felt like it was done indirectly this week, and that felt great. And so I'm trying to think of when that was. Did we go to dinner with Mason this week? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we went shopping to buy him stuff for prom, and then we went to Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah, that's right.
He just really made an effort for that night, and we just talked and kind of caught up, and it felt like we had learned from the previous time that we had gone out that how to do it better. So it felt good. Yeah,
I think that's true. I agree. I mean, not that you need me to agree with you, but I definitely felt that same way.
Yeah.
I think for me, it was probably today. Like, I think that it was not just the fact that the astronauts made it back safely, but one of the commentators, I think, mentioned something about potentially we can all come together around this. And I think I was grateful for that moment and that comment, because I would like to believe that there's still things in this world that we can all come around together. So that I think was a big deal. And then also, was it Tuesday? On a really trivial note, traffic was kind of light. So I was grateful for a fairly easy commute back and forth to work. Like that was kind of cool.
That's awesome.
So,
I mean, I'm grateful for the fact that you almost hit 40 miles per gallon in your car.
No, I did hit it. And then it dropped, like I said, because of the wind. Like I came around the corner on the 202 and all of a sudden the wind was straight on and that mileage just plummeted, and I was so disappointed.
Plummeted to 39.7.
Yeah, that's right.
I get like 23 miles to the gallon. You did better than I did this week.
I shouldn't complain.
Awesome. Well, that was great. What do you have going on this week? What have you been thinking about? What are you up to?
Pretty basic week, I think. Oh, you know what else I'm grateful for? I'm grateful that we just hired a new member of our team. I think she's in her third week at this point, and I'm grateful for her. I'm grateful to have a peer that sits right next to me. I haven't had that in quite a while.
You took the coffee pot to work.
Yeah, I took the Keurig to work so we could, she's also from Starbucks. spoiler alert, I'm grateful to have somebody to collaborate with and bounce ideas off of. Seems like a really great person. I didn't know her very well or really at all when she worked at Starbucks. Knew her name and knew of her, but just never had a chance to work together. But now we do, obviously, and it's going great. And I am grateful that that has entered my work life.
That's awesome. I sat in today on a friend's dissertation and I learned a lot, which was really good for my future work. It's nerve-wracking. You can invite your people and people can come and sit in and be there and ask questions. And so her parents were there, her brother, some friends, and then others of us that she works with. She presents and they ask questions and then we ask questions and then the team goes and deliberates, and then they can come back and they can tell you one of three things. You passed. Congratulations. You're now a doctor. Number 2, you passed, but you need to do some revisions on your writing. Or 3, you didn't pass. Off you go. Try again. And I think that third one is saved for people who aren't really collaborating or talking to their dissertation committee as they're going through it. Like, because I think they do support you to get there. But they were gone. Like they were out deliberating for a while.
Really?
And it was like super uncomfortable. And I felt so bad for her. Like I kept trying to like make conversation and it's hard.
Yeah, that's tough.
For her, it was 4 years of work and be like, okay, where are we? And she passed. So passed with revisions. She's in good shape, but
yeah, I can only imagine how nerve-wracking that must be.
Yeah. So I am in the mode right now where this summer session or the end of this spring session is when I will know my chair for my dissertation committee. And then I get to add 2 more people to it. So that'll be interesting.
So you get to pick who's on the committee itself.
Yeah. They assign your chair and then you get to invite others to it.
Okay.
So typically it'll be somebody who has an expertise in the area I'm studying, and then somebody else who's either in the college or has some tangential tie to the work. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I think I already have my second, so it'll just be a matter of figuring out who the third person is.
Great.
Yeah. So that's fun. Thatcher had fun today. He went to the Masters.
That was so cool.
Yeah. It was neat to see his picture. He did not take a camera in because you're not allowed, but he got a nice picture with Antoine after.
Yeah, that was nice.
So that's kind of fun. All right, so let's get into it.
Let's do it. What's on tap?
I don't know. I was just going to pick a card.
You gonna shuffle?
Yeah.
Pick a card, any card. Tell me about a drive, a phone call, or a quiet moment you remember.
Phone call when I didn't answer. It was early summer. 2004, 2003. Oh, 2004. And we were living in Duval and you were in Iraq and I was living in Duval with
2 boys,
a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, or like 2.5 and 6-month-old. 6-month-old. Shut up. It's Friday night. I had margaritas and we were at the Duval days. And so I had put them in the double stroller. I had walked down the big hill and we had gone to Duval days and it was a parade and neighborhood and all the good things. And I guess I didn't really realize how big of a hill it was.
It's a big hill.
It is a big hill.
Yeah.
And I had to walk back up the hill with the double stroller. So I was pushing them up this hill and then it comes to like a landing and you stop there, catch your breath, and then you jig-jag and you go up the rest of the hill. And I got to the top of that landing and I turned the corner and kind of parked the stroller for a minute and I looked at my phone, as you will. And I had missed a call from you and we didn't get a lot of calls from you. And I just lost it. Like I just started to cry. I couldn't go on. I didn't want to go back up the hill. Thatcher was, of course, nervous. What was going on? Like I knew you would call back. I mean, those calls were so few and far between that it was really tragic. And I don't know, like we would have to check the dates because you typically didn't call. it was typically a call if something was bad. It was usually like Skype. What did we use before?
No, it was
Zoom.
MSN Messenger.
Yeah, because that was what we could use to do video calls. I love that because we had the camera and all that set up in the guest room. And for Thatcher to tell the story now, he talks about how he would go in that room and the camera was there, not on, but he would think you could see him and he would talk to it.
That's pretty sweet.
It is pretty sweet. So that was what we would usually do. And so a call usually meant something had happened, something had gone sideways, and you were calling to let me know, hey, you might hear about this in the news. Everything's okay.
But it wasn't me.
Right, because I'm calling you.
Yeah.
And so I do think it was a couple days before I got another call, because usually we would find out and then they would shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
For like 24, 48 hours or whatever. Yeah, that was not my favorite. Like I can feel it in my body. And that was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a long time ago. 21 years ago, 22 years ago.
Yeah. So I think when people talk about like, oh, I left the house without my phone, or I did this without my phone, like they haven't experienced that, because missing those opportunities are hard. Yeah. How about you? What was it? Phone call?
Phone call, drive, or a quiet moment that you remember? I think the easy answer for me would be a phone call also back in 1997, 98, 97, 98, 98. Yes, 98.
The Wayback Machine.
The Wayback Machine, when you were moving out of your apartment. And that was the first time I had ever talked to your mom, because Granny had died.
Yeah.
And your mom called to tell you, but actually called to tell me to tell you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because she calls and says, is there somebody there with you? Put them on the phone. Somebody. Yeah.
Somebody. Yeah.
Tim's here.
Yeah, me. But I think the reason it's memorable is obviously because it was the first time I had talked to your mom, but I think also it, for me, an illustration, a little bit of an illustration into your life and your relationship with your family, your relationship with Granny. I mean, I think it was illustrative of a number of different things all wrapped up in that tiny phone call. Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty basic phone call. Granny had died. I needed to tell you. I mean, I had no idea who Granny was. Didn't even really know who your mom was at that point, because we were still, brand new. But I think it was informative in that sense. So I definitely remember that. I was standing in the kitchen. I can remember where I was. So,
do you remember anything else about that day?
Yeah, I do. As a matter of fact, I remember the fact that Dave and I showed up to help you move out of your apartment, and you had packed nothing.
Yeah.
Literally nothing. Had no boxes, had no bins, had nothing to put stuff in. So to the point where we were using paper grocery sacks to move you.
I know. Sorry, I'm a weird.
It was
girl.
horrible.
All right, so let's keep going then. Tell me about a drive, a phone call, or a quiet moment you remember. You had alluded to it last podcast about drive. So can you share the story about the first time that we went to Oregon?
That's a memorable drive. We were driving your teal Mercury Tracer down to not Lincoln City, Seaside, Cannon Beach, mostly Cannon Beach. As one does when you drive south to that area, you can split off at Longview and take the bridge over so that you're driving along the coast and you don't have to go through Portland and go out to the coast.
But here's the important part. If people aren't from the Pacific Northwest, to get from Washington to Oregon.
I'm going to tell that part.
Wait, go ahead.
Be my guest.
Nope, that isn't the part I was going to tell. Go ahead.
Oh, so we split off at Longview, and all of a sudden, as we worked our way through town, realized that to get from Washington to Oregon at that particular spot, you had to drive over a very high bridge.
Right. And so if you're not from the Pacific Northwest, which I wasn't.
No, you weren't.
To get from Washington to Oregon, you have to cross a bridge.
Yes.
Like every time.
That's the point.
There's a freaking giant river there.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I don't like bridges.
Can't even, you can't even drive east to then go south and come back west into Oregon because you still have to cross the Columbia.
I know, it's the border.
Advantage.
I did not know that then. I know that now. When I will let you finish the story in a minute, but I will tell you, I remember when I was looking for apartments up in Seattle when I was in Arizona still, I would remember being on my dad's computer and looking at a map. And I was like, what is this? And he was like, that's a lake. I was like, what? I'm going to be working in Redmond. I have to live in Redmond because I can't cross a lake every day. Like, that would be scary as hell. So I got my first apartment in Washington, in Redmond, because I was afraid of the bridge. I'm not really that afraid of those bridges. Like 520 and 90, I came to be friends with because they were like at the level of the water. Unless there was a storm and the water came over the side of the bridge, I did not like it then.
Yeah, and actually right before you moved up there, one of the bridges sank.
What?
So like your fear...
The 90?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Your fear of the high bridges haven't sunk.
They
90
flipped.
Sank.
With people on it?
Nope.
They knew it was going to sink.
It was closed down.
Okay.
Because they had just completed the new bridge and they were getting ready to rehab the old bridge, and then the old bridge sank.
That gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
Okay. So we were driving to Oregon through
Longview / Kelso and hit the bridge and you stopped. And I think that was so early in our relationship that was probably the first time that you confessed to some of your phobias.
Yeah.
And basically said, I can't do it. I can't drive across this bridge. And so we switched and I drove across the bridge.
Yeah. It's so interesting. Brene Brown talks about vulnerability and how vulnerability is something that is earned, right? And I think she would even talk about that some of her research has been misused because people say that she said, just be vulnerable. And she's never said that. She says, you should be vulnerable with the people who have earned it. And she tells the story of the marble jar, right? Like, so that's part of canon on her stuff. Not something I subscribe to. I'm going to be vulnerable this very first trip that we're taking because there's no way in hell I'm driving over this bridge. So we're going to switch spots and you're going to drive.
And there's also a difference between vulnerability and a panic attack.
Yeah.
Like when you are being vulnerable about something that's, deep inside you, that's one thing. But then this was like a literal, I can't.
Yeah,
like,
I couldn't do it.
You had no choice but to be vulnerable because it was either that or turn around and go home. Because to your point, there's no way across other than a bridge.
And is it that same bridge that years later we were crossing and there was so much traffic we got stopped on the uphill where you couldn't see the roads, like where you were the different bridge, but still the same river?
Yes. That was in Astoria.
I don't know why I would go to Oregon after that trip, but I'd love to. It was getting home that was the hard part.
You just have to find a different way.
Oh, the poor children. Like they grew up with you being gone and me driving places and being like, nobody talks. There's a bridge. What's the one that did collapse? The Galloping Gertie one that did collapse back in the day.
The Tacoma Narrows.
Yeah. I've had to drive across the Tacoma Narrows Bridge with the children. That was not good. And then there's the one Deception Pass. That one's horrible. Oh my God, that's the worst of the bridges.
For those of you listening who may not be from Washington State, now you have to go and check out all of these bridges that are beautiful.
You talked about Vantage. That's horrible too.
Yeah.
They're all horrible. And going into Portland isn't any better.
Wait, why is Vantage horrible?
Because you come around that big bend and you see it, and then there's the wind, and then it says, like, be careful. Like, it's a 20-mile-an-hour curve at the end. Nobody goes 20.
Yeah, you're talking about the 90 from east to west. So as you're coming from the east, heading west across Vantage, you come down that long hill, hit that right-hand turn onto the bridge, and yeah.
It's horrible. I do not like a single bridge. When Thatcher and I went to Vegas and we drove here, we had to cross that damn bridge, the Hoover Dam, frickin' Tillman Bridge. Like, you can't name it for somebody good and make it a good bridge. It's just a bad bridge.
Still a bridge.
Yeah, we don't have bridges in San Diego.
Oh my gosh, that's entirely untrue. There's a massive iconic bridge in San Diego.
Can I tell you a story about the Coronado Bay Bridge?
Sure.
I'm sure people know this story. I hope people know this story. I'm going to tell a story that's going to get me in trouble. Okay. One summer, I went to church camp. There's so many parts of this story that I love. I wasn't super churchy kid, but this church was right by my mom's office. So it was easy for me to ride into work with her in the morning. She would take me to this church camp. She would pick me up after. Everything was easy. One day, we went to SeaWorld, probably SeaWorld or the zoo. I think it was SeaWorld, for a field trip for camp. And
so this wasn't like sleepaway camp. This was day camp. Gotcha.
And my God, I don't think everybody knows this story. I'm a little bit scared. Okay, so this church was right by my mom's office, and there was a branch of the church by our house. I would get dropped off in the morning at the one by her office, and then I would go to the one by our house in the afternoon, and she'd pick me up by home. Well, we went to SeaWorld. And so we're at SeaWorld, and we're doing our SeaWorld things and seeing Shamu and all the things, and it's so great. And then it's time to leave. And they say, okay, the people going back to the church by her office get to stay a little bit longer and are going to drive across the Coronado Bay Bridge because it takes less time to get there. Everybody else who's going out to La Mesa has to leave now. And I was like, screw that. I am not going to La Mesa. I am going across the Coronado Bay Bridge. So I stay with this group of people and I drive across the Coronado Bay Bridge, and I was scared to freaking death.
Even though you weren't driving?
Yeah, no, I hate bridges. This is probably where the bridge phobia started. So we drive across the bridge, and then we drive back because it was just an activity to drive across the bridge. So then we drove across the bridge. We drove back.
Are you kidding?
No, that's what we used to do.
That was all it was?
Yes.
Drive across the bridge, turn around in Coronado, and then...
Yeah, because if you did that and you made the little loop, you didn't have to pay the toll because it used to be a toll bridge.
Interesting.
So then we get back to the church by her office, and I am not in the right place.
She's in La Mesa to pick you up.
Yes. And this is, I don't know, 1980. No cell phones, no contact. So I walked to her office. Nobody signed me out. I just was like, okay, bye. And I left. And I found my way to her office, and I got there, and there was nobody there. No cars in the parking lot. The office was shut down. Everything was locked up, except I went around the back and I saw Uncle Bill's Bronco. So I knew he was still there. And so I found my way to the back door, and I knock. And there he was. And he's like, what are you doing here? And I lied. I got on the wrong bus. I did not, in fact, get on the wrong bus.
Oh, you're such a bad person.
I know. And I don't know if I've ever admitted this before. So meanwhile, my mother is in La Mesa waiting for the bus that I don't get off of. She has 2 little kids. She's freaking out. Uncle Bill throws me in his truck and drives me to La Mesa. Here she is. She's not lost. So there's so many things wrong with that. Like, why would you dangle an extended field trip in front of a child who gets to make the decision?
Right, yeah.
That's the first problem. The second problem is I probably should have just gone where I was supposed to go.
That's not like you.
No, it really isn't. But I got a bridge phobia out of the whole thing. But I will tell you, I was scared, like showing up at the office, because in my head, I was like, no big thing. I'll just show up at the office. Everybody's always at the office. They weren't. Like, I was so fortunate that Uncle Bill was still at work. And he just threw me in the car and took me, and it was no big thing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously worked out for you, but
Yeah.
you could have gone a very different direction.
Well, and who doesn't have kids get signed out of camp? Right? I just left. So I'm sure she was calling and they're like, we don't know. So scary.
Not good controls.
No, but that was the 80s were a different time from that regard.
Indeed, yeah.
So any other stories or deep, dark secrets you want to share? Gosh.
Can't think of any other stories, but I'm sure there's a ton of other memorable moments that I could talk about in terms of drives or otherwise.
I was thinking about drives, and I was thinking about when we went down to that place down south and went to the telescope,
Oh, yeah.
and our drive home from that.
Yeah. And the sunrise or sunset.
Yeah. I have not, the only sunset I've seen that's equivalent to that was the one we just had at Pacific Grove when we visited Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
It just felt like it went on forever.
Yeah. Like impossibly continued to get better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I remember that drive mostly for that. I remember the trip very well because, I mean, obviously it wasn't that long ago, but that sunset was incredible.
Yeah.
It was just breathtaking. And then to your point, the one at Pacific Grove was pretty incredible as well.
Yeah. And I going back to how we started tonight, like those are the moments I'm grateful for in our history because like we appreciate the beauty and just spend that time together. And it's just really cool.
Yeah, I'm grateful for that as well because, I mean, I think that you always joke about you're not very woo-woo, you're just like single woo. I think I'm probably more woo-woo than you when it comes to the beauty of nature. And I think that I maybe find things on a smaller scale. Not that you're only looking for the big things, but I appreciate the fact that we can live in those moments. We can both stare out the windshield on a drive at a sunset that just doesn't quit, or we can be amazed by the snow, or we can be amazed by the trees. Or, I mean, I think that we can find those things. I think I can also go out in the backyard and find some of those things where maybe sometimes you don't, but
I'd like to challenge. I would like to raise a challenge.
You're challenging the call?
Yeah.
You have to tap your helmet twice.
I think that on the daily, you have no woo. It is when we take trips, go into nature, do things on purpose that I do think you probably have more than I do at that point because you're focused on it.
Interesting.
Which I just think is really maybe a part of it, right? Like you talked last week about like, how do you like find those moments of gratitude? And you talked about the sunrise, but I wonder if there's also a piece there of we aren't getting out in nature as much right now. We don't when it's hot, right? Like those types of things. We don't go camping like we used to. So I wonder if there is a lack of it. And because you're not doing it on the daily, you're also not getting the replenishment on the not daily that you need.
Yeah, I think that could very well be the case. I think I always want more. I mean, I think I would always take more. I would do it every weekend if I could. And I think we can, definitely more than we do. We just don't. So I think it's a matter of, what's the priority? What's the focus? To your point, when it gets hot here, that means you have to drive.
Yeah.
You have to fight your way north.
Or west. And I think we don't always do it when we go to San Diego too. Like I think we'll get really busy on a whole weekend of working at the house and not go to the beach.
Yeah. Which is a huge mess.
It is because you just gotta.
Yeah. There's no reason you wouldn't. Even if it's crummy weather, you still should go to the beach.
Almost always, every day if you can. For sure. Awesome.
What else? Want to do one more card or do you want to?
Okay, here's one. What's one parenting win or fail you'll never forget? You could probably talk about this week.
Why do the failures come to mind more easily than the wins?
Yeah, I always forget that our kids need to eat more often than they think they do.
Yeah, that used to be a thing.
Well, I think that was the whole thing last weekend with Mason.
Yeah.
Because he really shut down and he wasn't engaging and wasn't participating. And we had this big day planned. And then we finally went to eat and then he got food in his system, and then he engaged. But at that point, I was over it. And so then he's engaging on the stuff he wants to engage on. I wasn't engaged. And so then it just became high drama about nose piercings. Not that he wanted one, just about my opinion about them.
Just your opinion on them. Yeah. It was, I think you're probably right.
Yeah. And we can get into it. But that, it's that type of thing of when I think he is 16 and he's not fully developed and prefrontal cortex, all of that, he's exactly doing what he's supposed to be doing. But it's frustrating and I miss it sometimes. I miss he needed to eat more and he wouldn't be so grumpy. And I can take it personally. And and it's not unique to him. I've done it with all three of them. And it really is frustrating because as much as I don't see it, they don't see it coming. And it hurts because I feel like we have a great relationship with them. And in those moments, they say or do things that make me feel like we don't. So I would like to come up with a parenting win. So I'm going to think on that. Do you have anything to say about all that?
Yeah, like I said, I think that for some reason the failures come to mind more easily than the wins. And I think that we have had a lot of wins. And I think that I in particular have had at least a couple. But I'm struggling right now with those. I think the failures are easier because I don't know, maybe they're more dramatic. I think maybe the wins that I've had have been some of the quiet moments, and they don't stand out as much as some of the failures, which tend to be more dramatic moments. And I think there's not necessarily one particular incident I can think of, but I can think of with Cooper, you were always much more in tune with his emotions and what he was thinking and feeling than I was at that particular moment. I think I was just always, I don't know a good word to describe it. I was just basic. I was not thinking deeper. If I was mad, I was just seeing the behavior, whatever it might be in that moment, but I wasn't giving any kind of consideration to what the internal struggle was that he was going through until then. Maybe he would, his emotions would come spilling out literally in the form of, crying. And it would always shock me and take me by surprise because I didn't think that that's where things were going. And then all of a sudden we were there and I was like, well, I'm a jerk. I'm a failure as a parent because I couldn't pick up on any of the cues or I didn't see it, or here we are and I led us to this place. And so it was always, I struggled with that because it felt like a parenting failure. It felt like a failed moment where I should have been more in tune and I just wasn't. So didn't like those at all.
Was it similar or different from how you were as a kid?
I think different. I think when I was frustrated, mad, upset, whatever, I would just tend to shut down because I don't think that it wasn't usually a discussion that I remember. It wasn't a chance to have a back and forth. It was, here's what you've done wrong, and whatever else was in the conversation, but it wasn't necessarily back and forth. And so I think sometimes we've done a lot of back and forth with the kids, and I think that's what then leads to those moments where if maybe you cut that conversation off a little bit earlier, maybe it wouldn't get to that point. Not a good thing. I'm not saying that that's right, but so yeah.
That's really interesting. I think we do talk a lot as a family when things have gone sideways. One of the things I noticed about this time with Mace is that it might have been one of the first handful of times, where he was the subject of the conversation. Typically, the argument or the drama is with one of the other two, and he would escape. It would end up being the four of us talking, and then where's Mason? And he was off doing something else. And now that he's the big kid, he has to stay and do it. And it's not comfortable for anybody.
I think some of the parenting wins, like I said, are some of the smaller moments for me. I think about, I don't know, sitting on the dock with Mason at Sun Mountain fishing, or, think about small things like that where I feel like I've been And I think the things that they have in common for me are attention and like lack of pressure, if that makes any sense. Those quiet moments. I think those quiet moments are wins when you find yourself being able to fully devote yourself to that moment and to that person. And the same can be said for our relationship. Like when we're both distracted or we're stressed or there's things going on, you don't give as much time and energy and attention to the other person. But when you can do that, I think that's a win.
Yeah.
You can block out all the other stuff. None of that stuff goes away typically, but it's just that you're able to be present in the moment.
Yeah. And for me, I think it's the time, spending time together. And I think about when the boys have come to school with me, not when I was their principal or not when I was their teacher, but like Mason came with me one time this spring. And then when class was over, we went to spring training. And I think about the last time that Thatch and Cooper were in town together. They both came and sat in on one of my classes.
Yeah.
And I remember looking over and they were both just sitting there like, what are we going to learn today? I think in those moments, they're proud of what I do. And that feels good because they know how important it is to me and they can be in it with me. And I think it's when the roles are more equal. We talked about that when they were little, right? We were never intending to be their friends. We were very clear. We were their parents. It was always our relationship first, then bringing them in. That was always all very, very clear. And we really like them and we want to be around them and we want different relationships with them as they get older. So when that starts to show, I like it. Yeah. I think a parenting win is just the fact that we've thought about those things. Right? Yeah. Because I think there are so many people who just go through the motions and are trying to hold their own relationships together or get through their job or that type of thing. But how we came at them was very purposeful. Yeah. When
they are doing their own thing, when they have their own family, when they're not living, 5 minutes away or not living under the same roof, I would consider it a win if we've, established or maintained a relationship with our kids that makes them or that enables them to want us in their lives in some form or fashion. And it'll look different for each one of them and it'll look different depending on their circumstances and their situations. But I think for me, that's one of my goals as a parent is to make sure that the relationship is so strong or strong enough to the point where we still have a relationship when they have their own family. 'Cause when you get to that point, it's difficult.
Yeah, there's a lot of competing.
Yeah, there's competing demands. You're trying to you're trying to juggle the demands of the family and the time with the demands of the rest of your family, your siblings, your parents, et cetera. And so I think it just is, and there's no scorecard. It's not like it has to be equal time. I just still want to be part of the consideration set, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
So
we have anything fun coming up? We're garage sailing right now, which is not really all that fun. But
you got fun stuff coming up. You got trip to
Knoxville.
Knoxville, one of the villas.
Yeah, I'm going to Knoxville
Same state.
Wednesday through Saturday for a writing retreat, which I'm super excited for. Yeah, that will be fantastic to just spend some time writing and not academic writing. So
that's this coming week?
Yeah.
That crept up.
I know. And then I'm only home for 2 weeks and then I leave for 5.
Yeah. I'm going to watch a lot of bad movies while you're gone.
Okay.
It's going to be fun.
That'll be great. I will not be watching any movies.
I know.
Yeah. But Mary loves movies. She quotes movies all the time. That's whose retreat I'm going to. So you should arm me with some movie quotes and I can make her laugh.
Yeah.
What do you have looking forward for bad movies?
I just told you plenty of bad movies.
Fair enough. And that we are in the background here watching the Mariners as well. I said today, this is when it changes and we are now up 8-3. So from here on out, 162 wins. We're just going for it.
Wow.
I know.
That's bold.
It happens now, Tim. This
bold
is when
prediction.
It happens.
Well, it's still a little ways away and we'll have a couple other shows, but I'm looking forward to our anniversary coming up, our 25 years of wedded bliss. That's fun.
Yeah. Well, we have Duck Creek at the end of May too, so that'll be great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I think I'm mostly looking forward to that for the road trip with Mason.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Like, I think it'll be fun just to be on the road and be two dudes in the car. I'm probably, putting more emotion into it than maybe he will, but I'm still excited to go with him just on that drive.
Awesome. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Anything we want to make sure we do next week? Or did gratitude? We want to stick with that?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think it's important.
All right. Thanks for joining us. We hope that you will ask your people some of these questions as well, because it leads to great conversations. And I think just that point of being able to connect.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for joining us, everyone.